Welcome to the final Q&A session in our Ardenwood Presents 3-month webinar series on the timeless blessings of planned giving. I'm John Mitchell, and I serve as Executive Director and CEO of Ardenwood here in San Francisco. Thank you for joining us today. To all of you, whether you're attending today or watching the replay, we want to tell you how happy we are you are taking steps to make an estate plan or are refreshing your plan. Who doesn't want to put their affairs in good order so that our loved ones feel the love and receive the blessings we want them to have? And that includes the causes and charities like Ardenwood that matter to each of us. You know, without good estate planning, a considerable portion of our estates will go to the government. Good estate planning is loving and wise. It leaves everyone feeling good. It's a mutual blessing. Ardenwood is one of the charitable and nonprofit organizations we hope you'll consider as a beneficiary in your plan. Donations are invaluable to our work here. Your contributions support our Christian Science nurses, education, and care services, as well as events like this one. Your gifts make all the difference, truly. So please be in touch with us with any questions. Our contact information will appear at the end of this presentation. And finally, the content shared today is only informational and is not intended to be legal advice. And now, let me reintroduce Rick Bailey and Jim Maher, who will answer today's questions. Rick Bailey is the founder and chairman of CAMUS and is one of the most highly renowned estate planners in the United States. As a certified financial planner, or CFP, with a master's degree in accountancy and taxation, as well as a Juris Doctorate, or JD, think lawyer, Rick Bailey is a highly valuable asset to private clients, CPAs, attorneys, financial advisors, and life insurance professionals for his expertise in advanced estate planning and case design. Jim Maher is a certified senior advisor and also a broker consultant specializing in Medicare. He is a certified long-term care insurance strategist. Jim has talked to more than 1,200 Christian Scientists since our first webinar, answering innumerable questions about Medicare, long-term care insurance, and estate planning. And now, here's our first question. Welcome, you guys. Good to see you.
Thanks. Hey, nice to be here, John.
I am single and have a good retirement. I own my own home and a rental home. I have one daughter and would like to be able to give more to charity. What should I do?
I think that's a good question. And I think that's something that everybody kind of comes across. If you look at most planning, there's competing goals. And we're always trying to do more for our family, more for charity. And I think it all starts with really taking the time for us to understand, where you're at and what your goals are, and then start the planning process. Kind of like this 3-month series, focusing on you first so that we know that you're taken care of, whether it's long-term care, your personal estate plan, your powers of attorney, and then start focusing on how you want to allocate your money to go to your daughter and then into the charities. So this is one where we've talked about life insurance potentially helping stretch that money out. Charitable remainder trust, charitable lead trust. It all fits in, but it really starts with us just getting a better picture of where you're at and what you want to accomplish.
Great. Oh, and by the way, I don't think I mentioned it in my intro, but as always, at the bottom of your screen, if you want to type in a question, please go in the Q&A, just click on that button. These are the questions from Tuesday. Next up, why haven't I heard about charitable remainder trusts or charitable lead trusts before?
It's not that we're hiding it. They've both been in the tax code for a number of years. And it's something that I think almost gets pushed off to those that I'll just say that are wealthy, and so it's almost reserved for people that, have the mega wealth. But it's one where anybody really can be using a charitable remainder trust or a charitable lead trust. there are times where we'll look at it and say it's not economically the right thing for you, or there may be better options, but they kind of just come and go with how the planning is. I would say, early in my career, I saw more charitable remainder trust. Then for about I would say maybe a 10-year period, it just dropped off. No real reason why, but it's, we're trying to get the word out. They're great planning tools. It's one where somebody asked, is this really something aggressive that the IRS is going to look at? And the answer is no. It's a kind of vanilla planning, very simple, very straightforward. It's something that Congress has encouraged. So we just want to take advantage of it if it makes sense for you.
And charitable gift annuities are wrapped in there too somewhere, because they've been outstanding, and particularly with people that have appreciated securities. Even though the market is pulled back, a lot of people have a lot of gain that they can give and not have so much capital gains tax.
Yeah, and I think it comes back. There's, you bring up charitable gift annuities, they're great. Private foundations are great. They're all good tools. It really comes back to how simple can we make it for you, what meets your goals, and then put in what's appropriate. I was on with a new client, and they had read about private foundations and thought, let's jump to a foundation. It sounded good, it sounded exciting. Well, when we talked through it, didn't fit. Now it might be something that fits maybe 10 years down the road for them, but there's so many other easy things they can do along the way now to help their family and really help the charities that they're involved in. So it's the keep it simple as much as possible as we go through the planning.
Absolutely. Community foundations work pretty well as well on some of these things.
They do. I'm involved with one right now. It's a charity that's going to dissolve, and they're going to give all that to a community foundation. Awesome. So it's great working with the charities and foundations that you care about. That's the big part.
Absolutely. Perfect. Okay. Next up, I have 2 rental homes that I want to sell. If I did the charitable remainder trust, is it complicated to set up and manage?
No, it really isn't. It's one where I would say for most people, this is new. If they haven't dealt with trust and don't understand how they work, it's a little bit new. But really, after about an hour of going through it at most, you're going to understand it's pretty straightforward, very, very manageable. And as far as setting it up and managing it, really doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, it's one where we put one together at the end of last year, and it was last minute. And the client, first time I talked to the client, I walked them through what a charitable trust could do for them. They said, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. They called their CPA. CPA said, this is the great thing for you to do. And 24 hours later, it was in place. Now, we don't want to do it that fast, but what we can hurry when we have to. More of it is we want you to understand what management you can do, and you decide how much of that you really want to be involved with. It could be very hands-off, very hands-on, but overall, it's almost like running the checkbook at home. You're running the checkbook, and keep it that simple.
Beautiful. Next up, can I pick more than one charity for a charitable remainder trust?
Yes, that's the nice part of this. The charity, you can make it a revocable or irrevocable designation. If you really if you've been working with one charity for your lifetime and you want to make it an irrevocable designation, do it. What I find is most people like to keep it revocable. They can pick and choose which charities they're involved with, and it can be multiple charities. It can be 1, it could be 10, however it fits your picture. That's the goal.
And as you say, irrevocable means irrevocable. Once you pull that lever, that's it. And
that's
so
it.
Yeah, revocable means you can change it. Yeah.
And we used to have to notify the charity to get the tax deduction and filings that needed to be. Nowadays, you don't have to notify the charity, so you can honestly make the changes anytime you want, as much as you want. So there again, it's
That's great.
how involved you want to be.
Right, right. Okay. I sold my business this year. Is it too late to do planning to reduce the taxes from the sale?
No, it's getting close to the deadline, but we still have plenty of time. When you've already sold the business, if we had been talking before you sold the business, we would probably talk about a charitable remainder trust and how that might be appropriate. Now that the business is sold, the taxes are kind of locked in already. Now we can talk about a donor advised fund. We can talk about a charitable lead trust. And both of those can help you reduce your tax bill before December 31st. So we can do planning before, we can do planning after. It just changes maybe the tools that we're working with. But yes, there's plenty of time to get to see if it's the right fit. I've got a client right now, we're talking, they're going to sell their business or a piece of property in the next 2 weeks. And they're far enough into the plan, they don't want to change the sale, but we're looking at what their other options are. And there's plenty of options to look at with charitable planning.
Isn't that great? Wow, everybody benefits from that.
Yeah.
Number 6 here. My husband and I would like to give more money to charity as part of our estate plan. We want to make sure we take care of our 3 children. What should we do?
Call. That's probably the easy answer is call. Let's start talking. And this kind of goes back to the very first question. It's one, we need to understand what your goals are and how you want to take care of your kids, maybe grandkids, and really start developing a plan. I think that's the ultimate goal here, is a plan that you are the director of, that your goals are laid out. So how much do you want to give to your kids? How much do you want to give to charity? And and sometimes that's a competing goal. It's one, if I ask the question, how much do you want to give to your kids? I want to give it all. Well, how much do you want to give to charity? A lot more. It comes back to those competing goals. And we've talked a lot about leverage in these presentations. If you think about leverage, it's just stretching the dollars. It's almost like when you go to the store, the grocery store, are you going to use coupons if you've got them or not? Well, the same thing happens here. If we've got competing goals, let's stretch those dollars. So maybe, there again, this is where life insurance can come in if it works, to where now we put some of the money into buying that insurance policy, and upon your passing, then the kids are taken care of, the charity's taken care of. So it's a way to leverage the same dollars. There again, it may be a fit, may not be a fit, but it really comes back to we've got to kind of dig in a little bit and find out, what the ultimate goals are here. More to charity, more to the kids, however you want it. There's not one answer here. The right answer is what you decide. But it's our job to help you kind of be on that path to figuring it out.
I love that. Just get started, right? Absolutely. Next up, and once again, if people want to bring any questions, just go to the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Just got a couple more questions here, and then would love to hear from anybody online right now. What should I do if I want to sell several rental properties, but I don't want to sell them all at the same time?
If we're using a charitable remainder trust, we can set up one trust that we can add more property to it over the years. So it's our goal is to help you figure out what you want. So if it's selling property all at one time, multiple times, we'll design a plan that fits into that. And sometimes maybe we're selling it and not using a charitable trust. So it really comes back to almost taking it one step at a time. And if we know that we're going to have a series of sales that are going to be part of a charitable trust, we can set that up. So we do the trust once, and then we can add property to it. There again, you would trigger multiple charitable deductions there. But we can also say every single time that you get ready to sell a property, we're going to have the same discussion. What's most appropriate now? Because your goals may change, your opportunities may change. We just always want to take a breath. And I think that's, true of any planning. If you're rushing through the planning and feeling like you've got a gun to your head that you're being forced into something, take a step back and take a breath, and then figure out what feels good and then take the next step forward. So we can do the exact same thing here. We're just going to do it on a multi-year basis, because that's when the properties are going to be sold and the taxes are going to be triggered.
Absolutely. I went to a presentation last week and they just said how important it is, and just for people to remember, if they want to make a charitable gift and maybe they're not quite ready for planning, but they're starting to get that in place, but have stocks and so on, to give appreciated securities. Don't write a check, make sure you get the full value when you give appreciated securities to benefit yourself as well as the charity. There's no cap gains there. So it's like selling your business. Have a plan. Yeah, excuse me.
I think that goes back to just having options. I hear that a lot when I get into the planning. Why haven't I heard this before? Or why aren't my advisors giving me these options? I honestly can't give you a real good answer of why they're not doing that. They may not be informed. They may not be, up to date on the different, strategies and tools we have available. But we just, part of our part of this team is to give you as many options as we can that makes sense, and help you understand what those options are, so you're making a very informed decision. And what I find is education's great, because we want to educate to motivate you to be able to make a good decision and not cloud the decision process. And so it's good, straightforward. And I may come in and say, personally, I wouldn't make that the decision you're making, but it's right for you. But make it an informed decision with all the options available, and go forward.
Love it. An informed decision. That's what this is about. Yep. Thank you. This is the last question, unless there are any more that are in the thoughts of our viewers. I have quite a bit of money in my IRA or IRA. I really don't plan on using it, except when I have to take the required distributions. Can I use the IRA to do more charitable giving? Great question.
Yes. Now, I'm coming across that more and more. I think a lot of successful people have, they've saved for tomorrow. They spend less than they make, and they've saved for the future. And all of a sudden, retirement's here, and they don't need that as much money as they need. So that money gets built up in the IRAs and other accounts. So it is one, we can give that money direct to a charity. We can take that money. I've had others that we've repositioned some of that into life insurance, so it creates a bigger endowment to the charity. But it is one, we can use that for charitable giving now. And that way you're seeing your money being used for good now versus later. And if you're not going to use it, it's going to be taxed to your kids if you pass it on anyway. So it's a good asset to be using for charitable planning. So always, and it goes back to looking at the whole picture. When I start working with a client, I'm always trying to figure out, let's set a baseline. What do you have? How is it owned? So that we can figure out where you're at and get those goal, planning objectives moving forward. But if you're sitting on, and that would be a question, do you have money, assets that you don't need? If so, where would you like it to go the best way possible, most efficient way possible? And most of the time when efficient, I mean with the least amount of tax or the best tax advantage, transaction. So this is one where that IRA is going to be taxed if you take it out or if you pass it to your kids. So moving it to charity is a great option.
I remember receiving an IRA and the taxes were the amount was pretty large, and after the tax, it wasn't so large. So
it can be 40–50%. You start
Exactly.
looking at that, and
big bite.
can we use it in better, more efficiently in other places? There again, when we start talking about giving to charity, taking care of the kids, sometimes it's better to give the IRA to charity and give the other assets to the kids. Tax wise, it's a plus for both. Everybody comes out a winner, and it's money that's not going to Uncle Sam.
Absolutely. Well, great. This has been a shorter session than usual, but Q&A session than usual, but this is so many good things that were expressed on Tuesday and some learning lessons tonight. So thank you, Rick and Jim. Your answers and explanations are always crystal clear and tremendously helpful. Remember, you can watch a replay of all of our webinars, including this one, on our website, ardenwood.org. This presentation will be available in about a day or so. We have several upcoming events to tell you about. This coming Saturday, November 5th, from 10 to 12 noon Pacific time, we invite you to join us for an online Bible presentation on the law that reveals health, given by Evan McDonald. Evan's Bible research will inspire new views of a timeless truth. We've got a really nice reply, and a lot of people signed up for that. Next Thursday, November 10th, we will host a Q&A on Medicare. Jim, that's you. We'll look forward to that. And then our annual Christmas celebration is Sunday afternoon, December 4th at 2 p.m. and that's online only. So please tell your family and friends. I just signed off on the invitations today. They're beautiful, and we'll get them right out. You can find details and register for all our online events on our website, ardenwood.org. Thank you, Rick and Jim, again for joining us today, and for everyone, and goodbye for now.